Achieving a professional paint job is all about the preparation, getting our surface as flat as possible, and that means doing some bodywork. But it's not as simple as just taking some Bondo and filling in the gaps. We've spent the last 6 months prepping our metal, but before one drop of paint hits this car, we gotta make sure the metal is as flat and clean as possible. So we're gonna be tackling a whole bunch of problems, some warpage, oil canning, dents, lows, highs, and a whole host of other things. But the kicker to this is the fact I've never done this before. So we're gonna experiment to see if a first timer like myself can get it done, or if this is gonna be a huge failure. My name is Trooper Max, and I'm restoring a car that's been off the road since 1977. But I've never done this before. I've taken the time to do my research, and I'm building the car of my dreams, hoping to inspire others to do the same. All right, today is Metal Bodywork Day. We got a lot going on here. We got trunk lid, we got some fenders, we got the hood, we got some doors. We spent the last couple months sanding these things, getting them down to bare metal, and now it's time to work on them. Now, because these are the original panels on the car, at first I was just gonna strip these things, get them into primer, and then do bodywork from there in terms of putting filler on and whatnot. But the thing is, there's some dents in here, there's some lows, there's some highs, there's some repairs that we did, and we can't just put epoxy on that. We gotta make this thing as flat as possible. We don't wanna have half an inch of filler, because honestly, that's just not gonna be a good idea. But what does that mean? That means we gotta do some bodywork. But here's the kicker, I've never actually done any bodywork before. I spent a lot of time doing the research, I spoke with some experts, I let them know my exact conditions, and I'm gonna apply that knowledge and try it out. I'm not touching the main shell. Should something bad happen, I can always swap these parts out. I don't wanna mess with the main shell until I get some experience. So this time we're gonna do things a little bit differently. So I'm gonna go around, I'm gonna show you all the problems, and I'm gonna start tackling the problems one at a time. But rather than show you exactly the right way of doing it, since I'm not an expert, I want you guys to tell me what you would do in each individual situation. This is just gonna help us all work together in order to find out the best way to fix this stuff. So I'm gonna tackle it. If I fail, I fail. If I succeed, I succeed. But I'm gonna be honest about it. I'm not gonna say that I know all the answers, because I don't. Now, if you look around, you might notice these little notes here. These are actually from my wife. She knew that I was really nervous about this, so she took the time to make these notes just to keep me motivated and keep me positive, because she knows that this is a big job, and when you're in a battle like this, it's nice to have all the support you can get. Okay, if you think the fenders look like a mess, it's because they are. A lot went on here to get these things in the shape they are. First of all, we got a big dent right in the front here, so we're gonna be trying to take that out. There was repairs here, here, over here, so this whole area is kind of warpy. On that one over here, if you look down there, you can actually see that whole panel is totally warped. It's gone in completely wrong. I put that in about 2 years ago and I barely knew how to weld. I used way too much heat, warped the hell out of it. I don't even know if it's savable. Okay, I think I'm gonna try to start with this thing here. So I'm gonna take the dolly, I'm just gonna try to knock it out of here. So just gently see if I can reverse any of this damage. Okay, so that actually worked. If you compare it to before, it actually went up quite a bit, so that's good. Okay, so now we're gonna try the slapper. So I'm gonna put my dolly back in, roughly where it needs to go. I'm trying the lighter one. I'm not hitting hard. I'm gonna push up, which is hard to do because this wants to go up. Wish I could strap it down somehow, but. I'm not great at body work. Clearly, let's try to give ourselves as many chances as we can. Okay. I don't want this moving when I'm hitting it because I really need all my concentration. I already suck as it is, so let's try to do it better now. We're gonna keep going this, see what happens. Holy Christopher Columbus in space, it worked. I can't believe that worked, check it out. And I was hitting it and I thought maybe it's moving a little bit, then all of a sudden, pop, it popped out. Came right out, and now it's basically flat. This is super cool. Check it out. Let's grab a ruler. Look at that. No more gap. Up little, maybe a 1/16 or a hair here. That's about it. And a little bit here, but all, really good. And it doesn't stick out, which is the good thing. It's actually pretty flat. There's a couple little, maybe a little dent here, but honestly, that's a filler thing. I'm not even gonna try to fix that. That's a win in my book. Well, at least I did something right. All right, let's try to work on the rest of this thing. So this is known as oil canning. Basically, the metal has been in some way modified. It's either been stretched or areas have been shrunk, and now you have an area that's not as solid. So that's one thing we're gonna fix. And we're gonna be looking at that through every panel on the car. So looking at these doors, there's a couple of things we could talk about. First thing is, these doors are in really good shape. This one over here has absolutely no dents, and this one has one larger one over here and a tiny one here. That's about it. The second thing is the structure. So I take my hands, I'm checking for oil canning. If there's any sort of oil canning, then it should be taken care of. And in this case, this door, it's great, it's perfect. Now here's the weird part. If you do the same thing on this one, the metal is a lot weaker. But at the same time, this is the part that I was confused. I was like, I can't classify that as an oil can because it's not one localized area, it's the whole panel. So I was speaking to an expert, and he said, if it's the whole panel, it's not so much oil canning, but rather it's fatigue of the panel itself. So I think because we had to remove some metal on the other side, it was pretty rusty and there's pitting, it's just weaker. So in this case, he said, don't mess with it, don't touch it. Leave it the way it is, because you're just gonna have a whole host of problems. So that's what we're gonna do. But something we can do is we got 2 dents over here. So I think that's what we're gonna try to do. Let's try to get these dents out of here. All right, so let's take a look at this door here. Very pronounced big dent over here. We got a little dent over here. So I think because this one's right in the middle, seems like an easier one to access, I'm gonna try it out. So for removing dents, when I was looking it up, essentially they said to use a hammer for bringing dents down. For bringing them up, to actually use a slapper. So we got our slapper here. Got 2 different slappers. So I don't know which one's the right one. We're gonna try both of them and see what happens. I got my toe dolly that matches the profile of the door. So if I put it in there, it's actually pretty much dead on in terms of the curvature. So I have a couple different ones. So I'm trying to match it. Okay, so maiden voyage with the slapper. Let's see how this goes. So the idea is that I'm not actually supposed to hit it so much as you're just literally slapping it and you're almost deflecting the force. You don't want to transfer all the force hard. And the thing is, they said to actually take the dolly underneath and push up. You're actually putting more force on the dolly than the slapper. The slapper really is just shaping it. So we'll see how this goes. I have no idea. I'm going to try to get in here. It's so hard to get access. I'm probably going to have to turn into an alien to do this. Okay. Find my dent. Let's see if that actually did anything. Nope. Okay, so that's failure number 1. You know, my problem is the axis, right? Check it out. The dent is over there, so I don't really have an easy access, so it's really hard to put my arm in. So we'll try something a little bit different. As much as I hate to do it, I'm gonna try it left-handed. And yeah, it's not really a good place to be doing that bodywork for the first time. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I could definitely put it in there easier, but it's still hard. Yeah, I can't apply enough force like that. I'm actually gonna try to bump it out, but I'm gonna be very careful with this. So I'm gonna take my toe dolly and just try to bump it out gently. Nope. You know, maybe it moved a little bit, not much though. I'm gonna be honest, this is really hard. You know, it's funny, you'll watch the videos and people have perfect access on the back, but here there's almost no access. So how do you do it when you gotta pull one of these, you know, holding and doing that? It's pretty difficult, right? So I was thinking, well, maybe I'll use a hammer, right? Hammer, and I'll put the dolly on this side. The problem is, if you put this inside the door, it's as thick as the door. You can't move it. There's no access. So getting really creative now. So I was just looking at all my stuff here and I thought to myself, I'm looking at these dollies, and as much as they have a curve on this side, they have a curve on the bottom too. So I was thinking maybe I'll take this little dolly and I'll hit from inside, and I'm gonna try holding this dolly, not like this, but like this. This This way I can get dolly on dolly. I don't know, it's probably a crazy idea. Maybe it's completely wrong, but I'm gonna try it because I need to do something. I need this dent fixed. Okay, I can reach at least. Wow, that actually worked. It's definitely starting to come out. No freaking way. I'm not gonna pretend like that went well. It went very mediocre. That was probably a 1/2 inch gap before. It's down to, between an 1/8 and a 1/4 now. Do I even bother with this little one? And the answer now is no, because it's really small. It's even harder to access the other two. Let's check the gap on it. It's actually smaller than this gap. So yeah, I'm not touching, I'm gonna leave it. Moving on. So the trunk lid is what I'm probably most proud of because it came out really good. So we ended up cutting out this whole strip here and that strip over there and replacing it. It's funny, I was talking to an expert and he said if it just moves a bit, if it's not a huge thing, just leave it. Maybe there's a little bit more movement than I want, but the thing is I wouldn't even consider that an oil can because it's so little. Trying to tackle that just might open up a whole host of problems. So sometimes it's better to pick your battles and not do that. So we're not gonna be doing that one. So in this case, I went across the whole trunk. The trunk is actually good. So the only thing we're gonna be doing is taking our sander and kind of smoothing things out in the front here, but there's no actual repairs. These little dips here, these little notches, we're just gonna leave them. We're gonna fill it with filler because it's just a little bit, and at the same time, there's no access from underneath the trunk. So the trunk and the roof are probably the hardest things to work on, is what I'm told. So we're just gonna leave it. Oh boy, this area looks really, really bad. And this is the good side, if you can imagine. You know, but despite how bad it looks, it's actually, it's not. I'll show you. I'll prove it to you. I'm gonna show you guys it's not terrible. Okay, look at this. I had to weld this patch on here and it sank a little bit, and then I did one here, sank slightly. I don't mind a little bit sinking because we can fill that in. It's just a matter of how much filling in we do. So let's see our gap. That's pretty big. That is a 1/4 inch for sure. But because I actually do have access from below, I'm gonna give it a shot just to see if I can fix this a little bit. All right, so I got another dolly here and it's got a flat side to it. I think it's gonna give us a better representation of what the gap looks like. So if we go like this, you can really see it, especially here. Like, it's not terrible, right? All right, so for this, I was told to use a hammer with the sharp side, believe it or not. I'm actually gonna try the flat side first, just because I wanna see how it's gonna go. Also, I'll have this hammer here with this side. It's a little more flat. We'll see, I'm not sure. So I'm gonna try this under here. I don't feel like I'm getting much of a result. Let's keep going for a bit longer. Yeah, the wide one is just not doing it. It's just too big of a surface area. I'm finding I'm hitting the sides more, so I'm gonna switch to the pick side. You know, I'm not worried about making it perfectly flat because that's what body filler is for. It's a matter of making it as close as possible. We'll see what happens there. This would not be my first choice, but let's give it a shot. Okay, let's check out our progress. Oh, would you look at that? That made a world of difference. That's huge. Okay, always using our straight edge. That's good. We probably have, I would say, 1/16 of an inch now compared to almost a 1/4 inch in some areas. That is awesome. Oh, we got one area here. It's still a little low here. So I'm actually gonna take my dolly and just keep going. I actually found what worked best was this hammer, believe it or not. With this side, just call it follow the contour there. I'm just gonna give it a couple boops. Another thing is I heard that you want to have this sound. So if you have that, it means you're doing a good job. If you're not, you're kind of missing. So that makes a difference. Let's do a couple more here. Okay. Take our straight edge. And there we go. Look at that. That really made all the difference in the world. Wow, there's hope for us after all. This is really cool. I know for like a body man's looking at this, they're probably like, whew, that is some rough work. It's because it is, but you know what? At least it's a lot less filler and it should last longer, hopefully. So that's great. So let's try that bad side on that other fender now. Oh, I'm gonna hit everything today. Bring this bad boy over. I like these benches. I find if you put the panel like this, it's quite stable, but you gotta put the bag on. Without the bag, it's really hard, because otherwise the thing's just bouncing up and down. There we go. All right, so this is the bad one. Oh boy. This is pretty bad. So I think I'm gonna start here. I'm just gonna fix this up, any sort of low points here, and then move on to this thing. I know the body line I'm gonna have to do with filler, because there's no way in hell that I can fix that. It is all over the place. I don't know, we'll see. Having easy access from below and above is key. That's what made the door so difficult. So I'm just gonna check how big our dip is here. Yeah, it definitely still opens up. So we're gonna raise it a little more. That's too high for me. I would like to get rid of that. Look at that. Yeah, so it's not perfect, but you know what? It's a hell of a lot better than it was. I know some people at home are like right now, like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you spending so much time? Just throw some filler on, it'll be fine. You gotta remember this. Filler shrinks. And at the same time, polyester high build primer also shrinks. So this stuff gets smaller. So really you want as much metal as possible so you don't have the shrinkage issue happening. So that's good. So this is done. Now let's try the boss of this bad boy over here. This is totally caved in. It's not proper at all, really. I don't even dare put a ruler on it. Are we gonna put a ruler on it? Are we gonna do it, guys? I don't know. I don't really want to do it. It's pretty bad. Wow, that is atrocious. Like, it's straight here. Oh my God, look at that. I could almost put my whole finger under there. That's just embarrassing, even for a newbie. I don't know. Wow, well, you know what? We still have the structure here, so from here to here, it's all caved in. We're gonna try it. I know this bottom part could have been better. I don't know what the hell happened to this panel. Ay, ay, ay. You know what? Let's just for fun try to fix it, see what happens. that is horrible, even for me. We're gonna take my biggest dolly and I'm just gonna try to whack it out because we'll see. It's probably gonna start some oil canning from this, but oh well, let's give it a shot. Okay, after quite a battle, if we take our ruler now and put it down, look at that. It is just a little bit of a gap. Here it's pretty good. Here it's a little high, and here it's a little low, but I'm not putting my fingers under there anymore. That's pretty cool. The one problem is right here, I have a oil can. So this is what's known as an oil can. The metal has expanded, has nowhere to go, so every time I push up on this, this goes down, and then vice versa. So this is kind of a problem I have because I'm not sure if it's something I'm gonna be able to resolve, but I'm gonna try anyways. So what I wanna do is I'm gonna try to shrink the metal essentially, heat shrinking. And the thing is with oil canning is if you don't do that, if you just leave it this way, like, oh, you'll pop it out, it's good. Right now we're in a cool environment. You take this car to a car show, once it's all painted, it gets hot, all of a sudden it gets all warpy and you get something known as phantom warps. So even if you have tons of filler, it doesn't really matter, you'll still get it. And that's why you don't really want any oil canning. So the way it's fixed is you basically take an acetylene torch, you find your point, let's say it's right here, and then you hit that point, and you want a dime-sized amount, just really quick. Think about the acetylene torch, within seconds, it's red hot and it's ready to go. Once that's done, what you want to do is basically you take your dolly, you put underneath, and you give it a good whack. And once you do that, you then take your hammer and you give little whacks all towards the middle. And as soon as you've done your impact, you take a bucket of water, a rag, you dip it and you hit it and you cool it down real quick. Doing that will make it hold its shape. So basically, you're just doing hits towards the middle. You're trying to push that metal in on itself, and that will shrink the metal. At least that's what you're supposed to. So to do that properly, you need a acetylene torch. And like I said, I don't have one. All I have is this torch here. This is a replacement for MAP gas. This is not the right way, because if you turn this flame on, it's actually pretty big. You really want the flame, to be super concentrated. You just can't do that with this. So every expert says don't do this, you can't really do it. But that said, I have seen some people pull it off before, and the problem with this is it starts heating the whole panel. So it starts getting all warped and whatnot. So you have to be very careful. Whereas the acetylene torch, it's a second. You're doing that one area, you're shrinking it. You're not affecting all the metal around it. Whereas this, you could affect all of it. But at this point, we got nothing to lose. So we're just gonna try it. We'll see if we can do that with this. I don't know. I have no idea. This is an experiment. Just see if it happens, right? Okay, first let's just identify where our oil can is. That seems to be the middle right there. There's another one here. So what I want to do is I want both of them up. We don't want it down while we're doing this, because there's a natural curvature to the metal. We want to keep that going. So I'm going to take this and let's just give it a shot, see what happens. Okay, let's see. It's funny, this went down, but that actually, that's not bad. Let's give it a shot, let's see what it did. Okay, it landed in the right place. Now the ultimate test. Look at that, it's holding its shape. No freaking way, look at that. Like, it's not perfect. Let's see if we can pop this back out. Wow. I'm surprised, because everybody said it couldn't be done, and I get that, but there's always two ways to do things. Let's give another shot over here. But you saw how the heat moved over and it caved this part in. That's what people are talking about. You don't want to affect the rest of the panel, right? Let's see what we can do here. Let's see if we can get another one. That is really more or less the level we want it. Let's see where our oil can is. Right there. That spot. Right there. That's the ticket. Not worrying about the dents right now. I'm just trying to get rid of the oil can. And look at that. It freaking worked. Yes. Look at that. Nice and solid here, nice and solid. Let's take our ruler. Folks, that is not what I was expecting. I'm really happy about this. Look at that, look at that. Guys, I don't know what to say. I'm blown away. This is cool. So we can work on this. Now let's see, I'm gonna try to kind of work on this area. I'm gonna try to flatten it out and just play around with it, and we're just gonna see if we can get this thing a little bit flatter. Okay, so we fixed our third oil can, and check this out. Nice and solid, nothing's caving anymore. We've now shrunk the metal, so it's now resting where it's supposed to be, which is great. So if it warms up now, this isn't gonna move around. Sure, it's warped and whatnot and needs some work, but check this out. flat there and flat there. If I take this across now, there's almost no gap. The point is we were able to do something in kind of a constructive manner, even though maybe it's not the industry standard. That's the thing about this whole project. We're doing stuff, you know, we're in a regular garage here. It's a home garage. We're using cheap tools, you know, Amazon stuff, inexpensive stuff. We don't have a lift. We don't have a rotisserie. We're hand sanding. This is kind of the whole mentality of like the regular guy, you know, the driveway mechanic. That's what we are. We're doing it as a regular Joe. So if we're able to do this without any expensive tools, you know what? Sometimes you're getting stuff done, you know, the cheap way, and it might not be the right way, but it's a way, you know, so I'm pretty happy with it. So this is great. I'm just gonna spend a little time with the hammer and dolly, try to flatten this out now, because now there is a bit of warpage and whatnot. Just get it flat, and then we can move on to the next thing, which is the hood. Okay, we've concluded our basic bodywork, and overall, that is actually shockingly good. Unbelievable how far this came from the massive, you know, finger gap that we had in there before. It's nice and strong now. No more oil canning. This is good. Maybe we will be able to save this. Who knows? Well, we'll have to move on to the next thing right now. We'll figure this thing out in the future, but I think I've built enough confidence to try out that hood. Okay, so time to tackle the final boss of rough bodywork, this hood. Okay, so let's start on this side, because this side's worse. I actually want to start on the worst side just because it's so extreme. Putting that on is a little depressing because there's quite a bit of gap there. Here, there's a really big one. It's not a pretty sight at all. So the challenge with this one is when this heated up, it sank in areas, but it stayed up in some other ones, because you can actually see where it stayed here. There's a cross support underneath that holds this up, and those cross supports, that's where the metal rested and it stayed, and the rest of it went down, so that's why it's warpy like this. And then actually ended up popping up in some areas, so the metal's all over the place. And what we're going to try to do is get it back up to level. So what I think I'm going to do is start right at the beginning here. Okay, this area here is pretty unaffected. However, this area, pretty significant gap. You can see it really dropped here. Grab a dolly, see if I can get that thing back up. Jackson, what are you doing? What do you think of the Nova?
Rusty.
Rusty? It's not rusty.
I got
Whoa, 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 we don't need more dents.
Whoa, rusty. It's rusty.
It's not rusty. So after battling with this for a while, this is where we're at. And if you look at it, it looks like an absolute war zone. And to somebody who doesn't know much about bodywork, like myself not long ago, I would look at this and go, oh my God, this looks way worse than it was. Because in the look of it, yeah, it looks worse than it was. However, the problem was here, there was oil canning everywhere. When I put all the heat here, it warped the hell out of everything. So all the metal was so expanded, I actually had to tighten up all that metal. So every time I would do another oil can, it would tighten up the metal. Then all of a sudden, this surface is a lot flatter now. Before, the gaps were absolutely huge. And I know some people would be like, well, it looked better, so why don't you just fill it with mud? You could, but when you have the oil canning, as soon as it warms up, this thing's gonna go warpy. So I'd rather, you know, it's not perfect at all. It's better than it was. It's still gonna be quite a bit of mud in some areas. There might be in some areas. Like here, I just couldn't lift it up because of the cross support. Almost 1/4 of an inch, right? 1/8 most of the way around. There's no 16th here. It's like 1/8 everywhere because it's really high. But the most important thing is that the surface is strong. Before I did any of this, this whole hood was so week, even before I put this thing on. When I would press down on it, it was all over the place. I just didn't know what oil canning was at the time. I wish I had fixed it then and then put the scoop on, but honestly, it is what it is. So now it's all strong. When we put our material on, we can flatten out. And it's all dented, and a lot of people say, well, you just made a big mess. The filler will fill it up, it doesn't matter. In the areas where I have access, I took a dolly and a hammer, and basically I worked on it that way. Now in the areas where there was no access, like over here, I actually used the sharp side of the hammer, and you hit it in. And the reason you do that is because you have no access below, but what it does, it's almost like, so basically of an area, if you put a dent in it, it's gonna pull that material inside. So that's what we're doing, we're just pulling the material inside. By doing that, we now raise the lows and we put the highs down. That is the theory of it. So I know a lot of body men are probably looking at this and being like, oh my God, this is awful. And it probably is, but you know what? At least now we got rid of the oil canning. I'm just gonna go around the rest of the hood, and I think this thing's pretty much done. Okay, we tackled the other side and we've got it as flat as we can. We put a ruler on now. It is a lot flatter, so no more half-inch gaps, so that's great. It does look pretty bad because now it's all dented and whatnot, but this is the important thing. The important part is the structure. So the structure is good everywhere. There's no areas where there's oil canning, so when I put my filler on, it'll be a solid coat, and then nothing will move around if it gets warm. That's the main thing. So we had to do a lot more heat shrinking than I expected, but this thing just got so hot before and just stretched out. The hood was already stretched out. Now we repaired it. Yes, we still have a long way to go. This is a really rough situation here, but at the end of the day, I think we can make this work. We're gonna try to save it. I'm pretty happy with this despite how crappy it looks right now. You know what doing this makes me feel? It really gives me an appreciation for people who do metal work like this. The old school hammer and dolly people, it's almost a lost art. You can't do that with the new cars. This is amazing. It just shows you could save pretty much anything when it comes to the old stuff, which makes me love it even more so. But at the same time, it takes a lot of skill. It's really hard. My work is so crappy compared to a pro, but it's just really cool to see that we can fix something like this and keep it going. So, although highs are gone now, there are still some little bit lows, but overall I think if we slap some putty on here, should be good. But the next thing we gotta do is actually seal it. So in the next episode, we're gonna be stripping this. We're gonna strip everything else that needs to be done, kind of touch it up, and throw some asphalt on this stuff. We'll see you in the next episode.